Ping.
Woo!
Welcome, everybody. This is season 1, episode 4, which we thought was 5, but it's not. It's episode 4 of...
I'm still not convinced.
No, it is, I tell you, it is.
Okay.
Ping of... Oh, pinged in my ear. Welcome, everybody. Yes, the American Book Center staff picks, of which I am a staff person, and Tiemen's a staff person, and Iris is a staff person. So the three of us, D'Artagnan, we are the three musketeers.
Staff people.
So let's get down to it quick. Basically, we're here to say what the interesting books of the month are, and sometimes some books sort of turn up that colleagues think is really good, and it's like came out last year or something. So we'll throw those in as well when they're really, really good. Like when they're a Pulitzer Prize winner, we'll throw them in. But for a start, Tiemen, kick us off.
Oh, look, it's my vacation, really. Because I thought this was like just going to be like a very easy episode for me, but no, immediately, jeez.
The deep end, yes.
Deep end, okay. Okay, well, actually, I do have some titles. Let's see. Well, actually, this one came out this week. Unfortunately, I'm on vacation, so I can't get it yet, because, well, but it's The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. And it's a fantasy novel, and it's a sort of sequel-ish to The Goblin Emperor, which was came out in 2014, and that's like one of my favorite fantasy novels ever.
Say it again. Witness for the
Dead by Catherine Addison.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it up on the thing in a minute. Carry on.
Yeah, so it's a kind of like a sequel to The Goblin Emperor, which, like I said, is like one of my most favorite fantasy novels ever, because it's one of those feel-good fantasy novels. It's smartly written, it's about politics, and it's kind of like the opposite of Game of Thrones, is that like the good guys, they kind of win without resorting to extreme violence. So, but it's like a nice feel-good book. And one of the things about The Goblin Emperor was that it actually was a standalone. It was kind of contained in one book, so it's like, there's always the one thing nice with fantasy is like when it's contained in one book. Yeah, that's the one.
Looks pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lovely cover. It's you can just like relax and read the book and now like, okay, when I'm done, the story has ended instead of to wait for like, part 5 whenever that comes out. I'm looking at you, George R. Martin. Actually, part 6.
Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah, but with The Goblin Emperor, I kind of had like from, oh crap. It's only one book. I want more. Why is there not more? So I guess like that's a good sign. That's it was a pretty good book if you want more, and I've been recommending it ever since. So lo and behold, when last year I heard like, there's going to be a sequel to The Goblin Emperor, The Witness for the Dead, I was like, well, yes, this is going to be like already my favorite read for 2021. But it's a sequel-ish because it kind of like picks a not a big character, but a low important character from the first book, and it follows that story or his story. And because I kind of like want to avoid spoilers so far, but what I get from it's kind of like a murder mystery. So the first one was more like a court intrigue, because that was about a young kid who suddenly is thrust to be the new emperor and has to like figure out like how does this actually work running an empire.
How does one emperor?
Yeah, but without losing your soul. And I guess this one is more a little bit like, finding a killer. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's
so it's a sequel, but it's not like you're not like missing anything if you just read the first book. It is a complete story, or
I think you all like. I kind of like let's explain like with Star Wars, you can watch Rogue One.
I've never seen Star Wars.
You never seen Star Wars? Okay, bad analogy.
Star Wars, but I believe you.
Okay, no, wait. Let's put it like this. It's kind of like you're a Harry Potter fan. I know that for certain. I think it's kind of like Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beasts. Like you can read them separately, but you know more about the world if you read Harry Potter and then started Fantastic Beasts.
Okay. That's also kind of what I always say about the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers.
Oh yeah.
They're sort of all standalones. They're very loosely connected, but if you start with the first one, that's probably the best sort of. Then you have an idea of the universe, and then you can read the others in any order.
Yeah.
So I would that's
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the world of, and actually, kind of like thrillers tend to be, you have a character or characters who come back in different stories in the same.
Yeah, just like with detectives and things like that. So yeah, and like what I most like about it is like there's a lot of fantasy these days that is just so grim, like which I like sometimes. Like sometimes a Red Wedding is nice to read about, but especially after this year, it's just nice to also have some fantasy that's uplifting. That's kind of like, yeah, humanity has a soul, great. But at the same time, it's also just really smartly written. And well, with the Goblin Emperor, Addison really showed like she knows how to write. So I'm just really excited to read this one. And I skimmed a few reviews, just like the last paragraph, just to avoid spoilers. But overall, I think it got really good reviews. Like I said, like this lives up to the standard that the Goblin Emperor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Still like have a week of vacation left, so I have to wait before I can read it. But and then I hope that's still in stock and that not all the customers got a copy from the bookshop.
How dare they buy books?
Yeah. I know. It's so annoying.
Already? Have we got it?
I think so. It should have arrived this week.
Okay.
I think I've seen it, not in Amsterdam, obviously, because I haven't been there, but I think I've seen it in The Hague or in LEIDSCHENDAM.
Oh, okay. Well, then it should almost definitely should be in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Good. That's the first one to go on. We'll have to quicken up because that's taken already 10 minutes. Good Lord.
I know.
About 4 books a month. So, well, good. If we can talk about 4 books and we enjoy them, that's just as good.
Exactly.
What about Iris? Have you got anything for us?
I've got lots of things, but the thing I wanted to talk about for a second is this one, the Book Club Journal by Sanne Vliegendhart, also known as Books and Quills, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a book club journal. And so it starts with a little like introduction and like tips and tricks and sort of different things that might work for you or might not work for you. One of the things that I really like about this is that it gives you sort of handholds, and then it says, whatever works for you. There's no right way to do it, which I think is really nice. And then there's a huge portion of the book that is just, I'm stuck. That is just this, where you can write down the books that you read for your book club. And then, you can say when you read it. And also it gives you these sort of prompts, which I think is really nice for during the reading as well, because I often find that when I wait until after I'm finished, my first impressions will sort of have disappeared because they, my later impressions sort of override them. So it's really nice to take a moment to write down, what are my first impressions, and then at the end to say, oh, what do I think now that I've read the whole thing, and what do I think sort of the themes are, and what are the things that I want to maybe talk about in the book club meeting. And I've just started a book club with two friends, so this is perfect timing. It's great. It's wonderful.
There we go. Actually, how do you like record your readings or like journal your readings before having this book? Like I usually use Goodreads just to like know and also do the challenge, which I fail every year. But
I make it every year.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure about this year because I set the goal of reading 100 books this year. I've never read 100 books in a year.
That's ambitious.
I'm usually around 70, so I have no idea if I'm on track-ish now. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. It's a pandemic. It's my excuse for everything. Anyway, I just thought it was nice to give this book a shout out because Sanne is also a really big fan of ABC. She lives in the UK, but she is Dutch.
Yes, she's been to the shop a few times.
She's done a few. She's a booktuber, and she's done a few videos at ABC as well. She's done a few meetings. She's years ago when we did the booktuber window display, she was one of the people that was featured in there. So there's a bit of a connection. Thought it would be nice to give her a shout out.
Yeah,
she's a nice person.
Well, put it on the book list, and we'll add it to the
yes, sir. To the highlight
picks list, which I think I shall show now. In fact, because then we can show these things.
Yeah, and I remembered, like, okay, like we also had a discussion, like, where we're going to put this book. Because I think in Amsterdam, I put it in the merchandise section next to the bookmarks, because I thought, well, that like makes sense. I think we also put it in the writing section, because I always feel like people who write also tend to read a lot just to get like inspiration and things like that. So where did you put it in The Hague?
I think the same thing happened, because I know that Eilish ordered it for the reading and writing section, but Simona also ordered it for stationery. So it's, you know, in both of those places, it with the like Q&A a day journal things, but also with the writing books. I think that makes sense. I think, and in LEIDSCHENDAM, it's obviously it's a bit different there because there's just not as much, like as many sections and not as much room, but it's in with the sort of more notebook type stuff and Wreck This Journal and kind of like participation books.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So it's called, what's the main title?
It's literally called Book Club Journal.
Book Club Journal, because I'm looking at Books and Quills and that's not working.
No, her actual name is in the database.
Journal, yeah. We'll find it.
Stop looking at YouTube videos during the Zoom meeting.
I'm looking at cat videos. It's really good. I love it. Okay, so here we go. Book Club.
There you go.
Journal. Yeah, this one, that one. That's it. Nice. And then you can find that, if I can just get this down.
God, you've got so many tabs. This is not healthy.
I'm a tab junkie. I can make people very freak out by the amount of tabs that I have. And that was the first book. And this one is where we get to see the staff picks 2021. So that's under highlights tab here. And you go down, you can see staff picks 2021. And it's going to be in here because I'm going to add it tomorrow when I'm at work. That sounds a good idea. And while we're here, why don't we talk about the Sanjeev Sahota and China Room? Because that was also a suggestion. I went round asking my colleagues this month about what they all give me one book which you like a lot. And this came from Siggy. Siggy reads these days, fiction from further away, as it were. This is based in India, loosely based on the sort of the family of the author, apparently. And starting from 1929, 1930 up to present day. So it covers a couple of generations, and about a woman who doesn't know the father of her children, because there's this kind of weird thing where they all live in a house, and then it's when they have sex, it's in a dark room and they don't know which. It's very kind of weird to me, but it's apparently really well a really well told story, and as soon as you start it, you're completely sucked into it, and you go off and away on it. So she was really enthusiastic about that, and that's just come in. You can see if I check on it, came in this month. Let's see what it was. Yeah, in May came in. So this is it's June now, isn't it? Yeah. Which month were you in? Give that a twist, I say. That was Siggy's suggestion. I'll give one more suggestion from one of my colleagues here. Martin, not Martin. We've got lots of different Martins. We've got Martijn, Martin, and Martin. And of course, I spelled all of them completely wrong. But there you go. And he suggested Music for the Deaf too, because he does the art section downstairs on the ground floor. And this book, although it's art, it's actually beautiful pictures of famous musicians. So you could put it in the music section as well. But let me find it for the.
It's called Music for the Deaf because it's visual.
Probably. I don't know why. For the deaf. No, wait a minute. Deaf. For the deaf. For the deaf.
That's something else.
And you can have. See if it finds it.
Just leave out the for the.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Or use the ISBN.
See, for the deaf.
Just you're spelling it wrong again.
Man, what's going on?
No, come on.
Music for the dialect.
When I play piano.
Is that a cat?
Yeah. That's Charles decided to.
Hi, Charles.
Yeah, Charles, talk between yourself, Charles.
Mm-hmm.
For the deaf. There. No. Yeah.
Just say that you'll add it later, Luke.
Yeah.
It's like it. I should have checked that it was here before. He hasn't added it into the thing.
Ready.
Great. Okay. We'll stop screen share. Anyway, it's a beautiful book. It's called Music for the Deaf 2, and it's by Koen Kappers. And it's got like Depeche Mode in it and Billie Eilish. And so there's a big range of different musicians. But they're all pictures of at work instead of being all, portraits and stuff like that. And it's just really, really nice to look at, me being a musician and a music junkie.
So, but is it like concert photography or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So like backstage.
Yeah, backstage, things like that. And a lot of black and white, but there's color as well. And just beautifully made. And it's very relaxing. You just, you get the big photos, the whole page, and there's not too much flim flam, but it's just very, very
Flim flam.
Tu comprends le flim flam?
The flim flam.
It is French for buffoonery. No excess fat. Let's put it that way. It's all a good book, and it's costs $31.50 because we couldn't see it there. So I also think it's for a nice book like that. That's a pretty good price because normally, maybe
photography books are not cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Takes a lot of ink.
They're heavy, so you can
this ain't too heavy, but it's it's good. It's worth it. So there you go. There's two from various colleagues.
Oh, talking about French, since, well, I'm on vacation, but mostly it's staycation because of the freaking pandemic, I watched the second season of Lupin on Netflix, which is, oh, you don't have Netflix, do you, Luke?
Yes, I do, yeah.
You do? Oh, okay. Well, it's a French series based on the original novels, Arsène Lupin, which is kind of like a French burglar gentleman. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the second season was, I think, released this last week. But it's just so nice. Like usually we're so used watching in English, but then like when you hear something in French, I always think like everything just sounds better in French, or like you mean like very classy. It's,
absolutely.
I always forget when I'm watching things in a language that I don't really speak, that I have to like actively watch. I can't open another tab and do something else because I need to read the subtitles. Like I was watching this like Brazilian series on Netflix, and I kept like opening other things, and I was like, wait, I don't understand what they're saying.
Now you know how it feels like. It's when you're reading the subtitles. When I first came to Holland and I had to read the subtitles, and it was really like, oh my god, I have to watch the screen and then read as well, and it was really confusing. But
that's better than dubs, though.
Oh yeah, seeing Elvis Presley in German was really weird. Actually, seeing Elvis Presley in French was very weird as well.
Well, I could still like see the appeal to that. Like if it's a good singer in French singer dubbing for. Like what I was like
singing. He wasn't singing in French. He was singing in English. But then they were.
Like what I always find amazing, for example, is that German people they never heard, or most German people will never heard the original Harry Potter movies, for instance. Like, can you imagine? Like
in English,
Voldemort speaking in German.
Yeah,
or never reading knowing how Al Pacino sounds in real life. But,
missing out.
Yeah.
Well, they do. They think he knows. They think they know how he speaks. It sounds in German real life, or I guess it's like that for India or other countries that get things dubbed as well.
No. But like, well, at least like what I always found interesting with when the first season of Lupin dropped earlier this year, you immediately have people coming into the store and asking like, "Do you have the books?" It's always so fun. Like it's Netflix.
Yeah, it's the same with what was the chess thing called again?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. The Queen's Gambit.
Yes. It's a really good series. Yeah. I understand why people came in to ask about the book. But it's like okay. Shadow and Bone and The Witcher. Yep. It's one of those things where as soon as there's a series, things explode.
Yeah. Also, not always. Like for example, because I do think like it's kind of getting saturated. Like it feels like almost every book or graphic novel is getting its own adaptation. Like
I know that Heartstopper is being adapted for Netflix as we speak.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was last time or the time before that I talked about the 4th volume of Heartstopper, which is out now.
Mm-hmm.
But they're making a Netflix series of it, and I think they just wrapped filming the first season, possibly, if I got that right.
Okay, interesting.
So that's going to be a big deal probably by the time it comes out.
Well, I think we find these things out by people coming and asking, more people than usual coming ask for the books, isn't there?
Well, I feel like we should probably find out beforehand. I feel like if we only find out about it by the time people are asking about it, we're not doing our jobs.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because sometimes you just don't know. Like Shadow and Bone, that was like, okay, yeah, people are gonna read the shit out of that. But you also had like last month, Jupiter's Legacy, which is a graphic novel, and that series was kind of okay, but I think it kind of bombed because it didn't renew it for a second season.
Oh, was it Netflix as well?
Yeah, Netflix as well. And, like I had like people asking for the graphic novels before the series, like, oh, there's a graphic novel series coming out. But afterwards, yeah, we bought like extra copies, or so like, oh, you have to buy extra copies for the shop. Yeah, but so it's
I'll make them into blind book dates.
Yeah. Like, well, perhaps. Well, it is a good graphic novel, though. It's so. Okay.
Yeah, then you got those things like when a graphic novel is good or the book's good, and then the series isn't so good. I mean, you have things like the Bad Boys. No, what's it called? The series also.
The Boys.
The Boys, yeah, The Boys.
Yeah. Oh, but that one is a pretty good series.
The television series is really good. It's really exciting. The graphic novel I haven't actually read. I looked at it a little bit. I mean, it's drawn, so it's a very different vibe to the TV series. But then the same guy, Lemire, I think it is, also did another graphic novel.
No, it's not Lemire. Lemire did Sweet Tooth, which is actually also a nice series. God, who did The Boys again? Garth Ennis, I think.
Anyway,
there's another TV. Yeah, there's another series which I find not so interesting actually. What's the name of it? I can see it. Oh, God.
Sweet Tooth, I think.
No, not Sweet Tooth.
It's a really good story, Luke.
Yes, yeah.
I'll put it underneath after.
Yeah, we'll wait until the subtitles.
In the next episode, I'll tell you what it was.
Exactly.
So it's a cliffhanger. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's see. Shall I go to the next book that I'm looking forward to? And, or do you want to?
No, do it. You do that, and I'll try and find out this. I'll finish the cliffhanger.
Okay. Let's see. The next one that I'm looking forward to, that's coming out end of June, beginning of July. But it's Gearbreakers by Zoe Hana Mikuta. And I always have, ever since like Pacific Rim, I've always had like a sweet spot for giant robots, mechas, just kicking the crap out of each other. So this book is, well, about giant mechas kicking the crap out of each other. And it's also the classic trope of from enemies to lovers, because what I getting from it's like two rival mecha pilots from opposing faction that have fight each other and then have to work together and maybe falling in love with each other. But yeah, no, the cover looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to this one. It's there's not a lot of books being published about mechas. Like the last one I can remember reading is by Peter Tirias, which was the United States of Japan series. But this seems to be this seems to be an exciting new one.
Okay, when's it supposed to come out?
Probably this week or next week, actually.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yes.
Watch this space. Iris, do you have another one?
I don't.
Or not? Otherwise, Tiemen can fill us in with another one.
I'm sure he can. No, I'm not sure that there's anything like coming out right now that I'm really excited about. Although probably once we hang up this call, I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said that one and that one and that one.
Always, yeah.
But I've been, as a general note, I've been on a bit of a novella binge recently. I don't know if I might have already mentioned that, but usually I read a lot of series, a lot of sci-fi and fantasy series that they're like huge, big books. They're like part of a series. It's all like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole commitment. And I never really got into novellas. And then recently I was like, I just need like nice, quick, beautiful bites. And and I've been binging novellas like mad. I cannot stop reading novellas. It's wild. Oh, but it's so interesting too.
So that's how you're gonna reach your 100 novels this year.
I mean, it definitely helps, yeah. But it's there's such a craft to like, 120 to 200 pages, and it's especially with sci-fi and fantasy novellas. As an author, you have to sort of create or like evoke this whole world in so little space, and they do it so well. It's mind-blowing. It's wild. It's so good.
Well, for example, one that I really like are the Murderbot Diaries.
I read the first one. Yeah, that was really good. Wow.
By Martha Wells. And,
yes.
That's a Murderbot is about a robot, or no, actually an android, I think, who hacked himself so he can like bypass the safety precautions that were installed in, and called himself Murderbot. But he says not actually Murderbot because he has social anxiety. So actually he just wants to do his job and stay away from people as much as possible and just binge watch space operas and things like that. Soap operas. Yeah.
Sounds like some people you could know.
But it's really good. Like this whole, because it's like this sort of interplanetary thing, and like this whole like company and this whole mission, and there's, I don't know, like a handful of characters. I think maybe 6 or so. There's like this whole team, and it's such a tiny book. It's like 120 pages, and they create this whole world and this whole entire story, and it's really good. I don't know how people do this, man. I'm like, wow.
Well, to that end, actually, then I'm going to tell you about this month. We did an event a couple of weeks ago online, and it was the fast fiction competition, and it was open to students basically, and I was had the pleasure of being able to host it, like I'm doing with this, and it was amazing because it was fast fiction. They had like 150 words to write stories, and various people won, and we're going to be hopefully putting them up on the YouTube channel from the American Book Center. First one I saw today, which is already, because they're under 16, they have to have parental approval, and we have to make sure that it's all kosher and good. But it was amazing because the winners spoke their how do you say that? Spoke their story out loud, and what you're saying, just in a very short space of time, you get this whole story and this whole world and this whole it's just amazing how people can do that. It is an art apart.
And I mean, obviously, like, I'm not saying that the sort of long form things that I usually read are less good or that the authors aren't as good. Obviously, it's very different. But there's such a craft to writing a novella, and I just never really sort of realized it or appreciated it, and now I can't get enough.
I think that's the point. I think people take, books are the de facto, and novellas, I think, get a little short-changed, as it were.
Well, what else I like is short story collections.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and that's always, it's almost like chips. Like you don't really have to read it in one go. You can just like, oh, this I like, and then read it.
I always make the same mistake though. Every time I'm like, no, I'm just going to read one story, and then I'm going to do like something else and let it sort of, percolate. And then I'm going to get into the next one. And I always just go straight for the next one. And then I never appreciate it as much. So that's on me. But like,
yeah. It's got that thing to it. They're like little sweets, but you want to have more. It was funny because we were talking that I think it was Siggy who said she also was getting into novellas. And I was saying that I got scared off them. No, not novellas. I'm sorry. Story collections, anthologies, as they are called, because I read it was John Wyndham, The Day of the Triffids, when I first read that classic story. And then
like when it came out, Luke.
Oh!
Wow! Straight for the jugular.
Old man jokes. All right. I'll get you. No, I won't get you back. That's my age. I can let that go. You see.
Your maturity.
So I picked up the next book, which was, I think, Chrysalids or something like that. And I thought, first chapter, I thought, great. Second chapter is like, oh, that's a bit different from the first one. Third chapter, this, I don't know where this is going. This is strange. And then it dawned on me that they were all separate stories. So I thought I was reading a complete book, and it wasn't. It was lots of different.
No.
And my brain completely went, and I was completely put off, anthologies from that point on. So that was a real bummer first move. So I have to get over that, I think, because what you're saying is indeed very true, that you can have nice, really short stories. And what I saw, like I said, when I did this event this month, of which I'll do a bit of a push here. The ABC, we're doing lots of online events like this one, which is streaming. Like we had this month, we had Christopher Paolini.
Yeah.
If people want to go and watch that, that was a really good discussion. And we had before that Fonda Lee and Zen Joe.
Joe with Blackwater Sister. Oh, that was also a nice book to read, Blackwater Sister.
Yeah, you read it.
I think Sophie read it as well and really enjoyed it. And usually, if there's a book that both Tiemen and Sophie enjoy, there's a pretty good chance I'll like it too.
Right.
It's kind of like a Venn diagram.
Yes, it is. It very much is.
Oh, yeah. It's like actually been books that either Sophie and I were like, "Oh, this is amazing," and you felt like, "Oh my God, how can you like this?" And,
I mean, I'm sure they exist. Nothing comes to mind though. But like, I'm basing this not on like all of your reading, but on like your staff choices.
What? You're not aware of my Goodreads?
I know. I'm a terrible person. Yeah. Because you obviously check all our Goodreads accounts religiously.
I try not to stalk too much.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. There's homework for next month, I see. Check up each other's. What we're doing? Oh, actually, it's just past quarter past. Any last? Yeah. Actually, since we're talking about novellas, and you also mentioned Becky Chambers in the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
July 13th, she's publishing a new novella called A Psalm. Do you pronounce Psalm? Yeah, A Psalm for the Wild.
The P.
Okay.
Psalm for the Wild.
Psalm. Okay, Psalm. Okay. Then I always have to think about the fish Psalm. Okay. But anyways.
You mean salmon?
Yeah. But like that you say Psalm. Okay. Wow. Well, how to wreck an announcement for a book. All right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. A Psalm for the Wild Build. And it kind of looks different from what she's done before, because all the other books are kind of more like science fiction. She wrote a novel before, like If Fortunate to be Tough, which kind of like felt like a better version of Interstellar. But this
That's a novella as well, which is really good, by the way. It's really so good.
Yeah, but this one seems to be a little bit more. It's about robots, but it kind of feels more like fantasy-ish. It's and let's see, it's about the history of tea, which I always like, because I'm a big tea fan. Yeah.
The history of tea.
Well, it's set in a country.
Don't say it with such disdain, Luke.
Yeah, good Lord, and you're English. Good Lord.
Good Lord, man, where are you coming from? What is this?
No, but basically, like in the world that she's describing, is that the robots have broken away from society and gone into the wilderness, and humans have been left with a mostly technology-less existence for centuries now. And then, of course, like I think the protagonist is gonna meet a robot. I think I kind of get the vibe it's going to be a series, because like the subtitles, A Monk and Robot book. So
yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a second one announced already. I don't remember the title, but I think at some point, maybe on our website or something, there was this announcement that there were going to be two. I don't know if it's like a duology or what the deal is, but you're right. That is one of the books that I'm also really excited about.
Yeah. And the cover just looks amazing. It's,
honestly, everything that Becky Chambers does, I will consume.
I see here it's got hardcover coming out in July. Makes sense.
Oh, I'm going to get that one for myself for my birthday.
Ooh,
which is in July.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Interesting.
Are you?
I like it.
Me too.
Okay. Iris, you got any more? Or you've got loads more, I'm sure.
I've got, to be honest, I've got this whole stack of books right next to me. But I don't think any of them are like particularly new.
Filter.
These are some of the novellas. This
Yeah.
one I've read recently. This one I've read recently. This is amazing.
This
This
is
one I'm currently reading. I think it's Jouke's actually. I think the
Phyllis. Yeah. We actually had
Or
Daniel
this one.
Polanski visit us up a few years ago.
it's pretty weird. It's about animals.
Yep.
But it's not really like about animals. It's more like this Wild West kind of vibe. It just happens to be that they're all like badgers and mice and rats and.
I read one as well. I think like people described it as Watership Down meets a Dirty Dozen or Ocean's 11.
Yeah, it's kind of like a intrigue, and it's not really a heist, but it's like a rebellion kind of thing.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. Also, I recently read this one, which is a graphic novel, which is really cute.
Prince and the Dressmaker.
Really adorable. It's been out for ages, but I don't know if it's actually. But I've been wanting to read it for ages, and I just it's one of those books that, when you're sort of excited by something, but you just never really bothered to pick it up. Like, it's out there, and you're like, sort of like, oh, I should read that. And then you never really do. That's sort of what I had with this book until at some point I was like, no, but I actually want to read it. I should probably, read it. So I did, and it was really good.
Finally, you got to.
Also, I think because it's a graphic novel, it's pretty quick. And I think it's also a really nice book to just like on a sunny day, like in the park. It's really good for that.
Sounds
and then this one, which is also a bit older, but I think it's my staff choice and probably also Sophie's staff choice, is actually the next read for my club. Tie in with the situation. Because it's a witchy book club. We're reading witchy fiction.
Girls Who Drank the Moon.
Is that also the name of the book club? The Witchy Fiction book club?
No, it's called Covens and Covers.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty good, right?
Very good.
I didn't come up with it, but I'm going to take the credit here. And then also on a more serious note, I recently read this one, which is very new, Jews Don't Count, which is about anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Fun. It's about basically how, it's really hard to talk about this without sort of accidentally causing offense, but it's basically about how different kinds of racism are often like ranked in people's minds, and this author is trying to sort of explain why, or not explain why, but like illustrate how when it comes to anti-Semitic comments or whatever, they're often sort of ignored or seen as not as bad. And he's just mostly giving examples to illustrate that point, and also sort of trying to explain why that is. I don't know. I don't want to like get super deep into it now. I don't think that this is necessarily the appropriate platform for it, but I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, what you say about being ranked, I can kind of understand. We're living in a world of, since last year, of George Floyd, George Floyd. And that's taken the foreground, understandably, but then that ranks as like number one thing that people are into. So
and also to clarify, he's definitely not saying like, oh, these things shouldn't deserve the attention they get. His point is that other things also exist, like, for example, comments at like matches and stuff. Which also obviously happens a lot here with Ajax being like the Jewish club and stuff like that. And it's really hard because it's also something that he talks about a lot in the book, that every time he tries to sort of draw attention to that, people are like, yeah, but this is obviously not as bad as, this type of racism or this type of racism. And that's not the point he's trying to make. He's not trying to take anything away from other people. He's just trying to understand why this is perceived as not as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas actually it's just as bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to say, we want to have a world without any of that.
Yes. And also just because things are different, because obviously they are different, there's a different context and there's a different history and all that. But that doesn't mean that one is necessarily worse than the other.
or that one's allowed. I mean, underneath, it's also like, oh, it's not as bad as that, therefore we can kind of get away with it because it's not as bad as that. And it's like, no. You don't do.
Let me put a stop to you right there.
Yeah, exactly. There's again, not the point system. Like it's not as bad as that. It's not as bad as.
And it's also like it also implies this sort of thing that I really dislike in general. Look, there's always going to be someone who has it worse than you, but that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to. Yeah, exactly. To be bummed out or to be angry or to be sad or whatever. It's not like after, years of searching, they find the one person who has it the worst. And that's the only person who's allowed to complain in the world. That's not how it works, man.
That sounds the beginning of a book or a graphic novel or something. The worst person who has it the worst of all, how they deal with life, but actually having it the worst, it's like, Jesus, one day I wish I didn't have it so bad,
Well, I kind of guess like it's a trend that what you said. It's not so much like who has the worst. It's just like a lot of people have been treated very, very lousy because let's face it, Luke, white cis middle-aged men obviously have a lot of privilege.
You have another dig at me. Yeah. Jesus, I'm getting it. I think you need a holiday, team.
But that's also something that the author mentions in the book, the sort of balancing act of, are Jewish people white or not, and the way that is often presented in a way to further the speaker's argument. Whatever the person is trying to convey, depending on that, they will either group Jews as white or not. Stuff like that you're not even really aware of, especially if you're not Jewish. It's a lot.
I think you're talking about the subtleties of things. And I mean, is this book something that people, I mean, is it meant, obviously you want as many people to read this book as possible, but you got two groups I see who are interested for different reasons. One is Jewish people and one who are not non-Jewish people who want to understand that way of being, or the understand the subtleties of the put down, or the that putting the thing in. So it's kind of an interesting. Is it a book that? Can you say that, having read it? Is it a book that's for everyone, or does it have a tendency to be like?
No, I think it's definitely a book that's for everyone, because I think for people who aren't Jewish, who don't have any Jewish heritage, it can be a bit of an eye-opener, because I think there's a lot that people aren't necessarily aware of just because they have the privilege of not, ever having to experience stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I think also, because also just the sort of identity label of Jewish is complicated, because it's not just a matter of religion. It's not just a matter of ethnicity. It's very complicated. And that's also something the author mentions in the book, even though it's a really tiny book, you guys. It's also sort of, there's a lot of like, shame, I think is the word that he uses. And a lot of people who try to sort of, distance themselves from the label, also because of just a lot of internalized shit. And I think that's also something that the book sort of, I think it can help make people feel like, oh, wait a minute, it's not just me. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. This is an actual thing that's happening to a lot of people. Yeah, this is really bad, you guys. We should do something about it.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but.
Well, it is. I mean, my dad was Jewish, and so I'm. My mother wasn't, so I'm by Jewish. Like
I'm in a similar situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not Jewish, but I am Jewish because it's there, and it's a weird thing of like walking into a synagogue and like feeling at home. And I never had that. I had that when I was 30, and I went to somebody's wedding, and I did that, and it was like, oh shit, I feel this is my house. It's like, what's going on? And I had no idea, because I wasn't even aware of that part of myself, because not that I wasn't I was brought up just being English, and it didn't really, they didn't.
Also, side note, the author is actually British, which I thought was really nice as well, because a lot of these books tend to be from an American perspective, which is fine, but it's
Different
not.
again. It's just
It's
different, though.
usually, yeah, it's usually less similar to the situation here in the Netherlands. So I thought it was interesting to read about it from a British perspective, because I don't think traditionally Jewish people are like a group that you hear a lot about in Britain. So that was interesting to me as well. Like, for example, American Jews, that's like a whole thing, you know, but this was, yeah, it was nice.
Well, I suppose it's more European thing. It's not European, but it's nearby,
Yes.
I guess. And certainly, you know, Jews in America, they're sort of represented in a way large. You know, you think of all of the main, what I think of is all the great songwriters in the songwriting in the 20s and 30s were Jewish, you know, pretty much, and cartoonists and a lot of filmmakers and things like that. There's this whole thing, creative people. Are quite well represented in the Jewish community in America. They sort of make a thing of that in a way.
Exactly.
That's what I get hold of. But in Europe, indeed, there's a different storyline, a different way. It's obviously being right slap bang in the middle of where it happened in the wars. It has a different resonation and a different way of being.
Much.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think I might have to read that book too.
I think you'd like it. I really enjoyed it.
Again, one more time.
Oh, sorry. It's called Jews Don't Count.
Jews Don't Count.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really short. It's only about, let me just check. Like 120-ish pages, novella length, if you will.
I was going to say, it's a little novella.
It's a little novella, little nonfiction novella. Yeah, it's also a very current book. There's a lot of very current affairs things in there. Yeah, I thought it was really, because it's not something that there's a lot of books about in the first place, at least, you know, not sort of this
in this moment of time,
angle.
This place. Yeah, you're talking about time and place, I think. You know, like you said, European perspective or English, you know, closer to European, and also 2021. Interesting. Yeah. There you go. Jews Don't Count. I want to make a quick Jewish, well, no, it's a Jewish joke, but maybe
yes, do it.
Jews don't count. They guess. Chong. Took me a while, but I got there. Anyway, there you go. Jews Don't Count. That's going to be on our books of the month. Is that it's came out in February? Yeah,
it's relatively new. It's relatively new. I came across it, I think, on social media. So that's good. Social media sometimes does good things.
It does. It's got us on it, so that's good. All right, I'm gonna bang my gevel or whatever it's called. If you guys have nothing to say, do you have any last requests? No.
Like song requests?
No. Actually, when is the next show, Luke?
Yeah, Luke.
Yes, Iris and Tiemen. It is our last of the first season. We're going to be doing the wrap up for the first season. Ooh!
Wow!
And number 5, it's going to be the end of July. It's going to be the 29th of July, I think it is. Last Friday of July. Let me have a look.
Sounds right.
Still got them, thank God. I did some testing. It's the 30th. Friday the 30th of July.
Okay.
Lovely.
We'll be here and we'll say about the latest books there, and then we'll let people go on holiday after that. And
I guess we'll then discuss like the perfect summer beach reads.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I already have a few in my mind that I definitely want to read this summer.
All right, in your mind, we'll do it. Do the summer reads for people when they, oh no, it's the Frenchman, he's coming out. I thought he would not come out, but he has. Sorry, I do not know what's going on.
Where's Italian Luke gone? Luca.
Italian, the Italian, hey. Anyway, yes, back to whatever the hell I was talking about. Summer reads, where you're going to Italy or France or to whatever, Bognor Regis.
Your backyard.
Staycation like Tiemen, indeed. And then we'll see what happens for the series 2. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
All right.
Jazz hands.
Put on some strange moustaches. We'll see.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
So.
Okay. Anyway. Well, it was lovely as usual, Luke and Iris, and I'll see you in a few weeks when I'm back.
Yay! Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thank you.
Please give your cat some more scritches.
I'll do. Yeah, I think he's sleeping now behind me. So yeah.
Oh, okay.